It's really early in the morning, I'm drinking coffee, and I'm gonna film a spooky video before I run out of time before Halloween. Hey guys, my name is Haley, and today I'm going to be filming a sort of Creatures of the Night, but not the book tag. I just wanted to name off some of my favorite, like, Halloween or just creepy in general creatures, so I decided to do a video about that today since I have seen the favorite villains video going around, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. The first one I'm gonna go with is the creature It from A Wrinkle in Time. It is kind of a hard, like, character or creature to explain, but I think the best way to explain it without spoiling it is that it is a giant brain or consciousness thing that is out to get Meg and Charles Wallace in the end of this book, and that's all I'm going to say about it for fear of spoiling, because it has been a while since I've read this, but this is one of my favorite books of all time, and that part definitely creeped me out as a kid, and I've read this like probably 10 times and it still creeps me out, so. And next up, funnily enough, I'm gonna go with Pennywise the Clown from Stephen King's It. This is a different It, but Pennywise is a shapeshifter. He's kind of like a boggart from Harry Potter, in which he shapeshifts into whatever that person is most afraid of, and then we'll use that against them. So he does a lot of the time take the form of a clown, which is why most people associate him with being a clown in this. For fear of spoiling, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but definitely this shapeshifter clown, Tim Curry's face. I'm so excited to rewatch the movie. Next up I have Apollon, if that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. That's how I pronounced it when I was reading the series, which is the 5th book in the Left Behind series, and I believe it's this one. It's either this one or Soul Harvest. I don't know, there's literally 12 books. But I believe it's this one that the Locust Plague is in, and the Locust Plague was so creepy. Like, they were like little locust beings that had like human heads and they could talk, and they were like of people that they knew or something like that, and I was just freaked out by the whole situation. They would come out chanting Apollon, like, for an It. That was probably one of the scariest parts of this series for me, I'm not even gonna lie. But this is a great series. I do love this series, but some of it is just super freaking and terrifying. Next up we have Hollow City, and I chose Hollow City for this because the Hollows from this series were super creepy sounding to me, and I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know how they look in the movie because I don't even think I've seen them in the previews. But just the way they're described is super creepy, and they have like really long tongue things that can and most people are talking about how they're really disappointed that this series isn't scary, and I agree, it's not scary, but the Hollows are very scary, so I think that makes up for it and goes along really well with the tone of these books with all of the creepy pictures and stuff. Next up we actually have one of my favorite, like, creature sort of villains, and that's the automatons from the Infernal Devices trilogy. Automatons is one of my favorite actual, like, creatures. Like, I just find them so interesting that they're like robotic but like humanoid and really creepy. I guess I'm just scared of robots. I don't know, like, not necessarily like traditional robots, but like very humanoid looking robots kind of freak me out. So the automatons in this were really scary, but I also really like it. And they also reminded me a lot of, if anybody watches Doctor Who, the episode in season 7, I think it is, maybe season 8, where Peter and Clara end up with all of the automatons in that restaurant. Like, that episode creeped me out so much. Next up, I'm gonna go with, he's called the Dark Thing from the Queen of the Tearling trilogy. I don't know if he's a creature. I guess he's kind of a creature because we don't really know what he is, but he was so scary, like, especially in the end of this when we had no idea who he was and he was like terrorizing the Red Queen, and you're like, what is this thing and why is it so terrifying? He seems very, very demonic and just very demanding and very powerful, to the point where like the Red Queen is afraid of him, and if you've read this series, you know she's not afraid of anything. So yeah, he freaks me out. And we do learn a little bit more about what he is in the second one, but still I'm like, no thank you. This next one isn't necessarily a creature, it's more of a virus. And if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you probably know that I really like zombies. So the next one that I have for you is the plague that happens in Illuminae, because the way this was described was so scary. Like, the people starting to go crazy and kill each other and kill anybody they came into contact with, and they were talking about their eyes burning, and they were just so scary to read about. And it was, I really like scary things, so that's what piqued my interest in this book when I first read it. But it was so just like disturbing to read about. If you haven't read this book, please do, but for several other reasons, but that was definitely my favorite part about this book in particular. And I know it's not a creature, but like, people turn into these creatures because of the virus, so they're not necessarily zombies, but they do lose their minds a little bit, so they're kind of like fast zombies, and fast zombies freak me out because zombies are not supposed to be fast. So if there's any sort of like altered zombie in something, I'm probably going to be very interested into it because I love zombies. Although that might just be my love for The Walking Dead, but that's besides the point. Speaking of The Walking Dead, if anybody saw the season premiere, I'm not going to say anything for fear of spoilers, but oh my gosh, that was awful. Just awful. I can't. Okay. And then lastly, I have Witches by Scott Snyder, and the creature I'm gonna go with is actually the witches in this series. Like, there's a little like talk about the series in the back that came out with each issue, so there's 5 of them back there for you to read about how he came up with the idea for this series. And the idea that he had about how he came up with the witches kind of freaked me out a little bit, so it made them more terrifying. Not like I'm gonna have nightmares about it terrifying, but just like really spooky, and the way that he came up with it, and like the way they take people. Just, I don't like the woods. I also just saw The Blair Witch in theaters, and The Blair Witch Project was a movie that scared the crap out of me as a kid. So seeing like what I thought was gonna be a remake, but was actually a continuation sort of The Blair Witch Project, I really enjoyed it, but it was also really freaky. And did anybody else think that the Blair Witch kind of looked like Slender Man? Anyways. But yes, the witches in this, definitely terrifying. No thank you. Would not want to be there. So there you have it. These are some of my favorite and most terrifying creatures of the night for Halloween. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.